Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about the testing types. The testing types is a very important topic when we are talking about software testing. But the problem here is that we have different explanations of the testing types. So before we begin explaining the testing types from my point of view, go in Google and search for the testing types and see what are the results that are going to appear. So if we open google.com and write how many testing types in software testing, okay, and open this article, and this article. Let's think of the number of testing types that are present in the world, okay? Are there 10 types, 20 types, 1,000 types? We don't know. So let's open this article, for example, from softwaretestinghelp.com. Okay, so types of software testing, like you see, they talk about the first is functional testing, and it includes a lot of types. Unit, integration, system. Okay, we said that unit and integration testing are testing levels. So he here thinks of them as testing types. We have non-functional testing, and then we have different types like alpha testing, acceptance, ad hoc. How many types do we have? Oh, we have like 50 types or 46 types of testing. So if you are going to study 46 of types of testing before going to work as a software tester, this is a very long journey for you, my friend, okay? So this is not good, okay? These are not wrong, okay? But you don't need that much of information at the beginning of your journey. So let's look at the second resource here, Guru99. This is an excellent resource for testing, for example. We have acceptance, accessibility, and here we have 100 types, okay, 100, and then we have bonus, okay, 101 until 105. If you ask me, I'm a person who works in this field for many years. Like 50% of these types of testing, I even don't know their name, okay, like upgrade testing, threat testing. If you ask me in an interview what is threat testing, really I don't know, okay. But the important thing is that when you give me a feature in the software, when you give me a piece of code and you want me to perform testing on it, I'm able to do this, okay? I might not know what is the name of this testing type. Is it unit testing? Is it performance testing? But I can get the job done. So this is the important thing, okay? So today, we will learn the most important testing types that we will use a lot inside our course and that we use a lot in companies and in interviews, so that while we are working in a practical way in next sections, when I say, for example, unit testing or when I say non-functional testing, you understand and grasp what I am saying to you. Okay, so we will not explain all the types of testing in the world. No one knows all the types of testing in the world, but the testing types that we are going to talk about today are the important types, okay, the types that matter a lot. So the first type of testing that we have is functional testing. And functional testing means that we test the main functions of the software. Consider a social media like Facebook. So what are the functions of Facebook? We have login functionality, we have registration. So for example, here in this system, we have a login page. So this login page, in functional testing, we test what the system does. What are the things that this system should do? Okay, I should log in, so I will test the login functionality. And in this case, I can answer the question with yes or no. So when me, for example, as a test leader ask you, okay, is the login functionality working? You can answer yes, it is working, or no, it is not working. So functional testing is the most dominant type of testing that we use in most of our jobs or most of our daily tasks. But next to functional testing, we have something that's called non-functional testing. And this is the important testing type that many people don't use or many people don't do inside their projects. So what is non-functional testing? Non-functional testing tests how the system performs, okay? So for example, we have the login functionality. It is working from a functional way. But is it fast enough? Okay, is the response time of this functionality good? Okay, so what is the meaning of good? Should it respond in less than 1 second or 3 seconds or even 1 minute? We don't know, okay? So for example, if I'm logging in to a social network, I can wait for 2 seconds as a response time. But on the other hand, if I'm playing an online game like Call of Duty, for example, 3 seconds or 2 seconds as a response time is very bad. This is a disaster in regarding performance, okay? So for example, performance testing is non-functional testing. You cannot answer with yes or no. This software is fast or this software is slow, okay? Most of the times we answer with a range. We say we have performed like load testing with 1000 concurrent users using the software at the same time. And in this case, the response time, the average response time of the user was X, like 3 seconds, and 99% of users passed this test case. So for example, this is performance testing. Also usability. Usability means, is the software easy to use? Is the user interface appealing enough? In this case, we cannot say yes or no. This is a point of view, okay? This is an objective way of testing, okay? Also security. We cannot say that this software is 100% secure. No, we say we have performed like a security threat analysis and most of the vulnerabilities are covered. These are the vulnerabilities that we covered while we are testing, and that's what we can say. We cannot say, yes, this software is secure, or no, this software is not secure, okay? And this is the challenge in software testing. These are the types of testing that are performed using tools and that require many technical skills. So these are the main two types of testing. We have also black box testing. Black box testing is like a technique more than a type, but some people consider it as a testing type. And black box testing means that we test without looking at the internal structure of the software. So for example, if I have a mobile app, I will provide input and wait for the output. So this is black box testing. The application is like a black box. I will not open it and look at the code. I will not look at the database. I will not look at or review the APIs, okay? So this is black box testing, okay? And this is easier. This type of testing is very important, but also it is easier to perform. On the other hand, we have white box testing. In white box testing, you provide input to the software and you also look at the internal structure of the software. What is happening in the code, in the database, in the APIs while I'm performing this input, while I'm providing this input to go to the output. This is a more advanced topic of testing, white box testing, and it is more challenging because in order to perform this type of testing, you must understand the programming language that this software is built on. Okay, so we have functional versus non-functional, black box versus white box. So can we have a combination between them? Of course. So for example, we can be doing functional testing using black box testing or functional testing using white box testing if we are testing the functionality but looking at the code, okay? Also, we have dynamic testing. Dynamic testing means that we are executing the software. Like we said in the test process, there is something that's called execution. So if we run the code, this is dynamic testing. If we run the application, this is dynamic testing. If we run the hardware component, if we are doing, for example, embedded testing, this is dynamic testing. So for example, in the login page, dynamic testing means that I must provide email, password, and provide input to the software. While it is functional or non-functional, black box or white box, all of these can be dynamic testing. On the other hand, we have static testing. And static testing is testing while we don't execute anything in the software. Like what? Like reviewing the requirements, reviewing the user stories. User stories is a type of requirement that we will talk about in agile testing. If we review the code that the developer wrote, if we review a prototype of the application UI and give some notes about it, all of this is considered as static testing. So we have dynamic and static testing. Also, we have some testing types that are related to changes that are performed by the developer. So if the developer, for example, had a defect in his code, we wrote a bug report, we send it to the developer fixed it, and then he is happy like the picture. He says, okay, I solved the problem. This defect is not in the software. In this case, we do not trust the developer. What we should do is that we perform retesting or confirmation testing. What is this type of testing? In this type of testing, we do the same steps that produce the defect, and then we say, okay, this defect is solved or this defect is not solved. This is a very important testing type that we as testers perform every day. Next to retesting, we have regression testing. In regression testing, the developer made a change to the software, like retesting, okay? This change might be solving a defect, or changing a requirement, or adding a feature, removing a feature, anything. In retesting, like we said, we will test the changed area, okay? The place that the developer changed for debugging. But in regression testing, we will test parts of the software that did not change. Okay, these parts did not change. So why would we test them? Okay, this is a waste of time and money. No, for example, if we have a login feature and a registration feature, okay? So in registration, the developer changed the criteria for the password. So for example, in the past, the password, it accepted any number, 1 digit, 2 digits, anything. But we added a criteria that the password must be at least 6 characters. Okay, in this case, in retesting or confirmation testing, we will test this feature after the change. In regression testing, we will also test the login functionality. Okay, we had previous users who created their profiles with a password that contained only 1 or 2 digits. What will happen with these users? Okay, will they access the system, or would we send them a notification telling them that they must change their password? So in this case, I will test the login functionality. I will also test edit profile functionality. If the user edits his profile, can he edit it and add a password with 1 character? He should not be able to do this. So registration will need retesting or confirmation testing, but login and edit profile will require regression testing. And regression testing is the testing type that most of your time as a tester is consumed inside. Okay, and that's why sometimes we need automation testing. We must automate a lot of test cases so that we can cover regression testing, and we will talk about this type or this technique in further parts of the course. The last important type, and this type is asked a lot in testing interviews. Me personally, I asked about it, which is smoke testing. Smoke testing means that we have an application like Facebook, like Instagram, any application. This application has many features, too many features. So when the developer changes a feature, should we test the whole application like we said in regression testing? Sometimes we don't have time to do this. So what shall we do? In this case, we have some testing scenarios or test cases that are called smoke testing. These are the scenarios that test the main functionalities, the most basic functionalities in the software. And depending on the results, we say, okay, this build is stable enough so that we can continue testing, okay, the invalid scenarios and the negative scenarios, the non-functional characteristics, or this build is not stable enough and we return it to the developer so that he solves the problems in it. So for example, like this picture says, we get an initial build from the developer, okay, and he gives us this build. Then before beginning our test cases, we perform the smoke testing, okay. It should take half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours at maximum, but not 3 days, okay. And if this testing passes, if the smoke testing passes, then we can perform functional testing, non-functional testing, and all other types of testing. If this testing fails, then we return the build to the developer. Throughout our course, we will talk about all these testing types in further details. We will begin to execute each type of testing using different testing tools and compare between these tools and talk about the best techniques to find defects in our software. Okay, so see you in the next video, and I hope that you enjoy our course.